He was my rideshare driver. The night he finally spoke, his voice sounded like a siren. "Don't go home," he said. "Not tonight. Let me go back. Start from the beginning, before my hands started shaking in the dark. Before I learned what a polite wave can hide." I was 62 when my husband died, 41 years married, and then silence. The kind of silence that fills every room, even when the TV is on. Our little house felt smaller without his footsteps, and my pension felt thinner than paper. I'd been a public school teacher most of my life. Not rich, not desperate, just steady. Then the funeral happened, and the numbers changed. I stared at bills like they were written in another language. I realized I needed work for the first time since my 20s. I found a night job at a regional hospital. Not glamorous. Administration, billing support, claim corrections. 3 nights a week. The kind of work that makes your eyes ache from screens. But it kept me busy. Busy is survival when grief tries to eat the hours. My shift ended late. I used to catch the last bus. Then the schedule changed. Budget adjustments, they called it. Like that made it kind. The last bus started leaving before my shift ended. I couldn't afford to clock out early. Those minutes were groceries. Those minutes were heat in winter. So I did what my daughter insisted I do. I used a rideshare app she set up on my phone. That's how I met Marcus Vale. The first time, his car rolled up to the staff entrance. A dull silver sedan, clean but tired looking, like it had worked hard for every mile. The parking lot was poorly lit and nearly empty, and it was almost midnight. I hesitated with my hand on the door handle. He looked late 50s, maybe older in the eyes. Dark hair with gray threaded through it. Deep lines that didn't come from smiling. But his rating was perfect, and I didn't have another option. I got into the back seat and gave him my address. A quiet street with modest houses and tired lawns.
Long shift?
His voice wasn't nosy, just human. 3 nights a week, I said. Same days.
That's a grind.
I watched streetlights smear across the window like slow comets. He asked how long I'd been doing it. I said, "Not long. I had to."
I get it, he said, like he truly did.
He told me he used to work at a manufacturing plant, a place that made industrial parts, until it closed.
This keeps me afloat, he said.
Something in his tone made me look up, not just glance. Really look. I saw him in the mirror. The same worn expression I saw in myself lately. People call it tired, but it's more than that. It's life knocking you down and you standing anyway. "I'm sorry," I said. He looked surprised, like kindness was unexpected currency.
"Thank you," he said quietly.
"I'm Lena," I corrected when he called me ma'am.
"Marcus," he said.
And I heard the ghost of a smile in it. After that, a pattern formed. 3 nights a week, I requested a ride. 3 nights a week, Marcus accepted. At first, I thought it was coincidence, but by the 3rd week, it was too consistent. He wasn't just nearby, he was waiting, logging in around the same time, positioning close to the hospital, making sure I wasn't stranded in the dark. It should have felt strange. Instead, it felt safe. We developed a routine. I slid into the back seat, exhausted. He already had my address set. The drive was short, 10, 12 minutes, depending on lights. We talked about nothing at first. Weather, traffic, how weird night air smells in winter. Then, the conversations deepened. Slowly, like a thaw. He told me his wife had left a couple years earlier. Not screaming, not dramatic, just worn down by financial stress and years of disappointments. Their adult daughter went with her. Marcus lived alone in a small apartment near the highway.
"My daughter had a baby," he said one night. "Little girl. I've only seen photos."
I reached forward without thinking and touched his shoulder. The gesture surprised both of us. "Families come around," I said, hoping my words were true.
"That's kind," he replied, voice thick, like he was swallowing pride.
I started tipping him extra. Not huge. I didn't have huge, but enough to say, "I see you." He tried to refuse. I insisted. "You get me home safe," I told him. That matters. Those rides became the brightest part of my lonely week. Marcus never treated me like a nuisance, never rushed me. He listened when I needed to talk, and he respected silence when I couldn't. In late fall, I started bringing him coffee. A cheap cup from the hospital kiosk, still hot when he pulled up. The first time I offered it through the window, he stared.
You didn't have to,
He said. I know, I replied. But night coffee is survival. And you're out here longer than I am. After that, coffee became part of us. 2 cups, 2 tired people, quiet streets and the soft hum of a car heater. He told me stories about passengers, strangers who cried, strangers who sang, strangers who lied. The little slices of humanity that end up in the back seat at night. I told him about my husband, about learning to eat dinner alone without tasting loneliness in every bite, about my daughter living far away, calling when she could.
You're a good person, Moonlit.
And the words hit me harder than they should have, because grief makes you doubt your own value. Winter arrived sharp that year. The hospital put up decorations that didn't quite hide how sterile it was. Lights in the cafeteria, tinsel on bulletin boards. I switched from coffee to hot chocolate for Marcus. I taped a tiny candy cane to the lid, like it was a joke.
He laughed, then went quiet. My wife used to do little things, he said. I didn't appreciate them enough.
You notice now, I said. That counts. Then came the night everything changed. Not because of weather, not because of my grief, because Marcus was different. His hands were tight on the wheel. His eyes kept jumping to the mirror. Not friendly, not casual, focused.
Lena, he said as we pulled away.
I need to ask you something, and I need the truth.
My throat went dry. Okay, I managed.
Your neighbor, he said. 3 houses down, 2-story, peeling paint, always a dark pickup in the driveway. Do you know him?
The question landed wrong.
Like a shoe dropped in a quiet room. Not really, I said. We wave sometimes. Why? Marcus didn't answer immediately. He turned the wrong way, away from my street. My stomach clenched. Marcus, I said, forcing calm. Where are we going?
Somewhere we can talk, he said. His voice was tight, like a rope pulled too hard.
Fear spiked fast, because it was late, because I was in his car, because women learn to calculate danger automatically. You're scaring me, I said.
I know, he replied. I'm sorry, but you need to hear this clearly.
He pulled into an empty lot by a closed discount store. Security lights buzzed overhead, harsh and unforgiving. He parked, put the car in park, and turned fully toward me. Under that light, he looked older, haggard, like he hadn't slept in days.
I picked him up last week, Marcus said. Your neighbor. He was drunk, very drunk, and drunk people talk.
My heart hammered like it wanted out. What did he say? I whispered.
He was on his phone, Marcus said, arguing with someone. At first, I tried to tune it out, but then I heard your address, your exact address.
My skin went cold. He said my address.
Yes, Marcus said, and then he said this. These were his words. The older woman on that corner house is a problem. She sees too much. We have to handle it before she goes to the police.
The world tilted. Handle it? I repeated, like the word was poison. My mouth wouldn't form the rest of my thoughts.
There's more, Marcus said. He pulled out his phone, thumb trembling. After that ride, I started paying attention. I started logging things.
He showed me a notes list. Dates, times, locations, a pattern drawn in cold ink.
I've had him in my car multiple times, he said. Always late, always drunk, always on the phone, always talking like he's planning something.
My hands shook as I stared at the screen. Why are you doing this? I asked.
Because last night he mentioned you again, Marcus said. He said you work late on the same nights. He continued. He said your house is empty. He said he's been watching.
Ice flooded my veins. Watching my house, I whispered.
Yes, Marcus said. And I think it's worse than watching. 2 nights ago, Marcus said, I drove past your street after my shift. I saw his truck idling nearby around 2 in the morning. Lights off. Just sitting there.
I couldn't breathe right. Why would he?
I don't know, Marcus cut in. But I know this. You cannot go home tonight.
My brain tried to argue. Home was where my bed was.
Home was where my husband's photo sat by the lamp. Home was the only place that was mine.
Where am I supposed to go? I asked.
Anywhere else?
He said.
A hotel. A friend. Your daughter. Just not that house.
I forced my voice steady. Why didn't you tell me sooner?
Because I wasn't sure, he said. I thought maybe it was drunk rambling, and I didn't want to terrify you without proof.
He inhaled hard, like it hurt.
But tonight, he said, I drove past your street before picking you up. His truck was in front of your house.
My stomach lurched. In front of my house?
I watched him get out, Marcus said. And try your front door.
The hot chocolate I'd drunk earlier threatened to come back up. He tried my door, I said, stunned.
He jiggled the handle, Marcus said. He peered into the windows. Then he sat back in his truck and watched.
My mind scrambled for logic. But I barely know him, I said. What did I do?
I don't know, Marcus replied. But we're going to find out safely, which means you're not going home.
I stared at my hands in my lap. Old hands, teacher hands, hands that had graded papers and held my husband's. And now they trembled in a stranger's parked car. I thought about going to a cheap motel. I thought about hiding. I thought about pretending this wasn't real. But Marcus didn't let me.
We go to the police, he said.
Now? I asked. It's almost midnight.
Yes, he said, because he tried your door tonight. What if he comes back? What if he has a key? What if he's not alone?
He was right. And I hated that he was right. We drove to the police station. Bright lights, empty lobby, that sterile smell of cleaner and old paperwork. A young officer took our statement. An older detective listened. Face unreadable at first. I told them my routine. The nights I worked, the bus schedule change, the rides home. I admitted I barely knew the neighbor. Just waves, just distance.
Marcus pulled up his logs, dates and times, notes on phrases he'd heard. The detective leaned in, his interest sharpened like a blade.
He used the word handle, Marcus said. I'm certain.
The detective asked how he knew so precisely.
Because I started recording, Marcus said. Audio only. For safety, I blinked.
Recording? I echoed.
Passengers agree in the app terms, he said. It's legal where we are. I don't take chances anymore.
Marcus transferred the files. We sat in a small interview room, and we listened to my neighbor's slurred voice, saying my address, calling me a problem, talking about watching, talking about handling it. The detective's face tightened with each clip. When the last one ended, the silence was heavy. Do you have any idea, he asked, what he thinks you know? Nothing, I insisted. I go to work. I go home. That's my whole life. I don't even know what he does. The detective exchanged a look with the younger officer. Then he said something that made my blood turn to ice. He works at your hospital, he said. Maintenance, night shift. What? I breathed. I've never... But even as I spoke, memory flickered. A figure in the hallway sometimes, near the end of my shift. Baseball cap pulled low. A rolling cart. I'd never looked at his face. I'd been too tired, too wrapped in my own grief. The basement, I said slowly. Our department is in the basement. He cleans down there, doesn't he? The detective nodded. According to the schedule, he said. Basement admin offices. And record storage. Record storage, I repeated. And then the twist hit like a punch. The missing files, I whispered. Every head turned toward me. My mouth went dry again, but the words spilled anyway. A few weeks ago, I said, my supervisor found discrepancies. Accounts billed, but physical records missing. Random files. Patients unlikely to complain. We thought it was misfiling. We started an audit. The detective leaned forward.
What kinds of patients?
He asked. Older patients, I said.
Low-income programs.
People who trust the system. I felt sick saying it out loud. The detective finished the thought for me. If someone stole records to submit fake claims, he said, that's healthcare fraud. Serious prison time. The younger officer added something worse. And if he thought you were on the audit, he said, he might think you're a threat. The room went quiet again. I could hear my own breathing. I could hear the fluorescent lights hum. I realized the neighbor wasn't fixated on me as a person. I was an obstacle, a loose thread, something to handle.
He's trying to get into your house, Marcus said softly, to see what you have. Notes, documents, anything you took home.
My stomach clenched so hard it hurt. The detective stood up fast. "We need a warrant," he said. "Now." He looked at me. "You are not going home tonight." Everything moved quickly after that. Phone calls, judges woken up, papers signed. An officer drove me to a bland motel under protective watch. I sat behind locked doors, curtains drawn, jumping at every footstep in the hallway. At dawn, my phone rang. The detective's voice was blunt. "We found it," he said. Boxes of patient records, hidden in his garage, evidence of fraudulent claims, a lot of money. I sat down hard on the bed. My knees didn't want to hold me anymore. I thought of those patients. People who had no idea someone used their files like a bank account. The detective said my neighbor was arrested, charged with fraud, stalking, attempted burglary. "You're safe now," he said. But safe isn't the same as unbroken. I felt shattered, like my home had been touched without hands, like my privacy had been peeled open. Marcus picked me up that morning. No app request. He just showed up as if he knew. We drove in the pale morning light, quiet for a long time. Finally, I asked, "How did you know to log it all, to record?" Marcus's jaw tightened.
Because I failed once, he said. My daughter, he continued, years ago, she dated someone charming, successful, smooth. Then she told me he kept showing up near her place.
He always seemed to know where she was. I told her she was paranoid.
His voice roughened with old regret.
One night, he broke in, Marcus said. He hurt her. Bad. My wife couldn't forgive me for dismissing it. She took our daughter and left.
My chest tightened. Not pity, recognition. The way life can punish you for one careless disbelief.
So now I pay attention, Marcus said. When someone repeats an address, when someone talks about watching, when someone says, handle, I don't ignore that anymore.
Tears ran down my face without permission. "You saved my life," I said.
You saved mine first, he replied quietly.
You treated me like I mattered, he said. Not like a function. You brought coffee. You asked about my day. Most people don't even look at me, but you did, so I made sure to look back.
When we reached my street, it looked ordinary in daylight. The same small porches, the same tired lawns. But I felt different inside it. Down the block, police tape cut across my neighbor's property. The pickup sat there like a prop from a nightmare. I'd waved at that house for years. Like waving could protect you.
Lena, Marcus said, as I gathered my bag. Take my number, not the app. My real phone. Call anytime. Anytime at all.
I took the card. My fingers still trembled, but I held it anyway. "Thank you," I said, "for everything."
Thank you, he replied, for reminding me why this work matters.
The investigation took weeks. They uncovered an entire operation. Stolen records, fake procedure claims, payments funneled into accounts that didn't belong to any patient. The police said my part in the audit put me on his radar. He thought I might have brought evidence home. He planned to break in and search. And if I became too much of a problem, he planned to handle me. That word echoed in my head for months. I testified. Marcus testified too. His logs and recordings became the spine of the case. My neighbor was sentenced to more than a decade, long enough to keep other people safe, long enough for me to breathe again. Marcus kept driving me to work afterward. Same nights, same route. But something changed. I sat in the front seat now. We weren't driver and passenger anymore. We were friends. Months later, something else changed. Marcus got a call. His daughter. She'd heard about the case, about how he protected a stranger, about how he didn't look away this time.
She wants me to meet my granddaughter, he said one night. His voice broke on the word granddaughter. She said maybe it's time.
To try being a family again.
I reached across the console and squeezed his hand. "That's wonderful," I said, and I meant it.
It's because of you. he insisted. If you hadn't been kind, he said, I might have tuned him out like noise. But you taught me people matter.
And here's the part that still stuns me. The ripple. A few extra dollars.
2 cups of cheap coffee. A conversation in the dark. And because he felt seen, he stayed alert. And because he stayed alert, I'm alive. I'm 63 now. Still working those 3 nights. Still living in the same house. But I'm not lonely the way I was. Marcus and I have dinner with his daughter and granddaughter now. They call me Aunt Lena, like I belong there. A makeshift family built out of broken things and choice. Last week, a new clerk started in my department. Young, overwhelmed, eyes bright with panic. I watched her struggle with codes and corrections. I saw tears building like a storm she tried to hide. So I did the simplest thing. I brought her coffee. I sat with her on break. I told her it gets easier. She whispered, "Thank you." You have no idea what that means. But I do. I know exactly what small kindness can mean. I know how one moment of seeing someone can change the trajectory of a life. Because I saw a driver as a person, and that person saw danger where I saw routine. And on the night it mattered most, he spoke up before my front door opened to the wrong hands. So whoever you are, wherever you are, be kind. Not for rewards. Not because the world keeps score. Be kind because someone might be barely holding on. And that small gesture you almost didn't make might be the thing that saves them. Or the thing that saves you.